this video, we're going to talk about the wordplay feature, which is one of the specialty features inside of the Floriani FTCU software. And the wordplay icon is right here. And what this does is allows you to create and generate words inside of a shape. And it will do it in various sizes and angles, directions, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and let's just jump into it. So we have these different shapes that are available to us, and you're not limited to only the shapes that you see here. You can save your own shapes, and what you do is you have to bring in a piece of artwork, or you create the artwork. It needs to be like a silhouette, meaning just one solid object, and then you can save it as a wordplay design. And what we're going to do is just kind of work with one here. Let's go ahead and choose, let's see here, let's do this little star right here. And you can see that the size of it is the first thing that you have here. Also you have, I guess I should jump into this one first. Shape type is right now it's artwork. You can change that to a run stitch or a steel stitch. And all that means is when it generates this, it'll either generate it and keep artwork there, or a run stitch or a steel stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose a run stitch so that you can see that when we do generate this, it'll have a run stitch around the edge. The other thing I'm going to do is I highly recommend that you work with something that's a decent size. So I'm going to choose at least 7.5 inches for this. So it'll fit within an 8x8 hoop. When you try to make something like this too small, it doesn't work that well. Maintain aspect ratio is a box you can check or uncheck. That just means if you make one, you make the width a different size, it'll automatically change the height to make sure it stays proportional. 3D view, I can select that, and I'll go ahead and click on it, and all that's going to do is this preview right here will show me a 3D replication of the words that I put in here. Then you have metric or imperial. I'm going to keep the imperial here. So how wordplay works is first you have words that you can put into the shape, and you can see by default it just says word and play. And without making any changes, let me go ahead and just show you what that does. So I'm going to hit generate, and that's the way that we can make those words take place inside of the shape. And I didn't change anything yet, and you'll see that we can do that. It'll take it a second to kind of go through and generate those words and put them in place. And you can see that it put them all over the place here, and that's what this tool is designed to do. Let me turn it off 3D view so that you can see the words better. I just wanted to show you that you can use 3D view. I'd actually recommend you don't use it when doing something like this. So here we have the words wordplay, and they're pretty close together. There's quite a few of them. So there are things that we can do differently. First of all, I'm going to change these words. And what you need to keep in mind is that when you're dealing with words, all you need to do is put a comma in between each word that you use, a comma and a space. So you can see it says word, comma, a space, and then the word play. So let's just type in star, comma, space. We can do anything for this, and I'm I'm doing this on the fly with the star shape, so coming up with names for it. Let's see here, night, because maybe you see the stars at night. We can do super star, and that's treating that as one word, you'll see. And I'll just put the word super so that you can see this. Let me go ahead and hit generate here. So it takes it a second, but it's got a lot that it has to do. And so we're going to just, I want to show you how this works with the, when you do when you put the comma in or you leave a comma out, and you'll see that you have the word just star here, and you have the word super right here, because I did do the word super by itself. Let's go ahead and just take a look here. We have star, night, superstar, and super. Okay, so what you need to know about this is, see how it says superstar? This is just like one line. So by not putting a comma there, you're going to see superstar show up, side by side. You will see star by itself and super by itself because I put that in there. But let's just take that out so you can see. I'll do night and superstar, and what this will do is you're not going to see the word super and star separate from each other. They're going to be in a line. And it's just important to know that that comma is what tells this program that it's another word, and so you need to treat the other word different. So give it 1 second. You can see superstar, superstar, superstar. There is no time where you don't see super and star together because I don't have a comma between the two. So that's how it works. And I'm going to do it as just night and star. It's simple. And we'll just regenerate that. Those are going to be the only two words that we use. It's not a long word, so if you use a longer word, it's a little bit more complicated. You might not get as many variations, but you can see there's a lot of star and night here. So now let's take a look at the other things you can do. First, you have the font. So right now, Andrew is the one that's being used, but I should point out, if you notice here, it's kind of hard to see, but there are some really small fonts as well. So you can see that word night right there is really small. What this is doing is anytime that a word, when it's making it smaller, anytime it hits the limit for that font, meaning it's not recommended to go any smaller for that font, it will automatically turn it into a run stitch font, because that would be the only way that it could show up at that height. That's a really, really good feature, because you could easily, if you didn't have that safeguard, you could easily make a font that is too small to really use. And so the software is smart enough to automatically turn it from a satin stitch font to a run stitch font. And it does that automatically, so you don't have to know. It'll just do it for you. So that's a great thing. So let's go ahead and let's just look at the different fonts. You can see that these are just the fonts that come with the software, and you can use any of them. I could change it to this bamboo and then hit generate again, and it will utilize that bamboo font. So it'll do this pretty quick. Just takes a second. It's just generating all this wordplay. And you can see that now it's utilizing that bamboo font. And when it gets too small, it's doing a run stitch font. So you can play around with it, just choosing whatever fonts you want. I typically will stick with something that's a little, a little simpler and not too complicated. But you can use whatever you want, and it works well with it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go back to this Andrew. I'm not going to hit generate yet, but you also have the height. This is the default height whenever you use the text tool, is 0.79. I can say that I want the height to be a half an inch. And the next thing is you have max paths. Okay, so the max paths is how many you're willing to allow to take place inside of this shape. I could really modify that, and I could even say something like 25, And let me go ahead and hit generate because I made it smaller in size, the font, and I only said I want a max path of 25. So what you're seeing is you're only getting 25 of them. So if you play around with that, there's a good chance that you're going to get a lot of open space. So if you keep it at 200, that means that you're probably never going to reach 200 of them. It just makes sure that it fills the space, if that makes sense. And the other thing is that's really kind of nice is that you have this max colors. So you can see that it's utilizing different colors every time I hit generate, right? And so I can tell it, you know what, I only want there to be 4 colors used. I don't want to have to work with 15 different colors. I can choose that 4 and I can hit generate, and next time when it generates this, it's only going to utilize 4 colors for all the words. And that is a nice feature to have too. It just saves you time in editing if you want to go and change the colors and stuff as well. So you can see it's only utilizing 4 colors here. And the next thing is the scale. So how the scale works is based off of the height. So if I have a 1/2 inch letter, I'm telling it I want it to go down a minimum of 100 or of 10%, and a max is at 100%. So let's just change this to 150, and let's just look at the size of some of these letters here. If I hit generate, it's not going to go any smaller because I'm keeping it at that 10. But let's see what it does for the max. So you can see it's much bigger in the word in some of these words because I said I will allow you to go that much larger with that word. So if you got these pretty close together, I mean, you could make it to where it's only going to do one size if you want. So I could do a 100 and a 100 and hit generate. I'll let it do its little thing here. So you can see that they're all the exact same height, and they're all 0.5 inches because that's the height I chose here. And I'm saying I don't want it to scale down any. I want it the minimum scale to be 100% and the max to be 100. So that's just kind of how that works. So if you really want a lot of variation, you can just increase the difference. Like the minimum can go down to that 10 like you saw, or the max could go up to 200%. Those are just the way that you can change how big and small the letters are inside of the shape. So I'm regenerating this at 50 and 150. So that'd be 0.25 inches and greater. So you can see how that works. And I still have 4 colors. It's a nice little combination there. The next thing I want to focus on is your angle. Right now it says any. So it can put it in any angle that it wants. It just fits as many as it can inside the space. But I don't have to choose just any. I can go to horizontal. And if I hit generate, you'll see what will happen here. It'll do all of the words horizontally. And this is where you might get into a minimum and maximum. You might really want to go down to a 10%. Because when you get into these areas, if you want there to be a word, it might need to be a little smaller. So you can see that everything is horizontal because I have that selected. I can come in here now and I could choose just vertical. And I did uncheck the horizontal. So you can see that it's all vertical now. Now I can do horizontal and vertical. And this will only allow it to go vertically or horizontally. nothing diagonally. So you can see all horizontal or vertical. Now let's go and take a look at what diagonal is. We'll hit generate. As you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can tweak with wordplay. And the great thing is that it's in this preview window. And that allows you to play around before you ever load it. So you can see with diagonal, it'll do things that are diagonal in both directions here. So it's kind of a cool look, and you can combine that with horizontal and vertical too. So if I want to do really any would be all three, but if I wanted just horizontal and diagonal, I could do that, or just vertical and diagonal, I could do that. And so you really have a lot of control here. And you just kind of play around and see what you like. And when you find what you like let's say that this is what I want, all you do at this point is just hit OK and it loads in the software. So we've gone through all the little features that you can do. Let's go ahead and generate this now. So I hit OK, and you can see it loads on the screen. And because I chose Run Stitch for the outline, you'll see that it actually created that Run Stitch outline. And it's the first thing that stitches out. If I wanted that to be a steel stitch, because now I've loaded it in, I can do that by just selecting it and converting it to a steel. And then now it has that steel border. I can make that an applique if I want. It's totally up to me. After I bring it into the software out of the wizard, now I can control it in a bunch of different ways and do different things to it. I can now change the colors. If I wanted to use, say, this color here, I could do that. I can select each one individually and just change their colors. So wordplay is a very neat feature that you can really tweak. You're not stuck with just one pattern or the size of the font or the font. You can choose whatever ones you want. So make sure you play with it. It's a lot of fun, and I would love to see you post some things on Facebook showing things that you created using the wordplay